Welcome to Step Up Unfiltered, the home of uncensored conversations, bringing you extraordinary individuals, tackling life's biggest challenges and bridging division. As always, we are live the second and fourth Thursday of every month. However, as the next one is Boxing Day, I believe, this will be the last one of the year. I may even go on a little break, guys, but I will still be posting clips that you all love from the previous episodes, so you've got lots of entertainment to fill your boots. You can catch us on Spotify, just type in Step Up Unfiltered. You can also catch us on YouTube, just type in the same thing. However, the thing that you need to go and subscribe to is my YouTube channel, and the tag is step.up.coaching. Not only will you find the podcast in full and your favourite clips and favourite bits, however, you'll also find my coaching content in which I help men open up, overcome their limitations, and become the best versions of themselves. Now, without further ado, he's been on before. The champ is back. I'm very, very glad that we got to do this episode. Do you really need to do the name? Do you have to do the entrance? Yeah, go ahead, do a quick little entrance. Name. I'm not even going to ask you for fun fact because you've been on before. If you haven't checked it out, he was the first guest on my show. We've got Gold Royalty in the building. Name, age, and what you do for a living.
Right. Yes, Nate, thank you very much, obviously, for having me on once again.
Right.
Modestas Bukauskas. I'm 30 years old. Soon getting towards 31 in February. Ooh. But, you know what I mean? Man's maturing. Man's maturing in many different ways with the hair and everything. Yeah, two-time Cage Warriors champion and current UFC fighter.
Woo! And the 25th ranked best mixed martial art fighter in the world. Congrats, my boy. Congrats. Come a long way since Take Me Out.
I know, for real. Fucking hell. What I must have been ranked back then, I don't even know.
And now look where you've become. And the funny thing is, it's like you've known this was always going to happen. This is the great thing. This is the beautiful thing. And we're going to go into your injury after, which we already touched on in the last episode. Again, watch that episode back because it was unreal. It wasn't even just about the UFC as everyone thinks it was. It was about bad relationships, girls not believing him, people not believing him, and him defying all the odds. His background, you could have gone into a number of different sports, and it was MMA that you chose. So just for people, just so you know what to look for in terms of the quarters, the breakdown. First one will be the return from injury. Second will be Cage Warrior success. Third will be return to the UFC. And fourth, we'll talk about date and all the fun stuff that everybody loves. We'll also talk about heavyweight super fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. But yeah, mate, it was good to see you on the weekend. I haven't seen you for a few months.
Yeah.
Mo came out of my boys. Went to the Prince.
It was a fucking good time.
It was a very good time. Oh, we can't swear.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I know a couple will come up, but it's all good. But yeah, we went to the Prince. We had a sick time. There's a huge squad of us.
Oh yeah. No, it was like a big group of lads, like all like really cool, all down to earth. You know what I mean? They're all his mates, so I knew that they were going to be sound anyways. So yeah. No, it was a great time.
As I always say, just because you're a lad, it doesn't mean you're going to be this just like arrogant guy who thinks he's all this and that. As you just said, yeah, it was a bunch of my lads, and then one of my mates in my group had his mates out, and we just had the best time. It's a secret little spot that is the Prince. Not everybody knows about it, but I'd actually say it's the best place in the UK.
It's honestly like I'd never heard of it beforehand. Yeah, I literally never heard of it beforehand before we went out on the Saturday, and yeah, like I thought it was great. Like it wasn't too crazy loud that you couldn't. Like, you know, you couldn't hear anyone talking. Like, you'd actually have a conversation where you can vibe. You can bust out a couple of the moves. You know what I mean? Bust out some of the shapes that we're throwing on Take Me Out.
of course. And you can chat to people.
Exactly. Yeah.
They play like a blend of music. It's house and then a little old school R&B.
It was a vibe.
It was a vibe. We will leave it there. It was a vibe. So huge updates have happened since we last spoke UFC, my friend. The person who nearly ended your career with a huge injury, Khalil Rountree, just fought for the belt. I want to know your thoughts on the fight and what has that done to your confidence to know how close that you've come and how close you are now to fighting for the belt?
Yeah, so I thought, you know, obviously he had a very good fight. I mean, a lot of people thought that potentially he was undeserving of the fight just because of where he was ranked in comparison to some of the other guys. But obviously they needed like a fresh, like different angle, you know what I mean? He just knocked out Anthony Smith as well beforehand. He's literally knocked out everyone pretty much.
and I think aesthetically he's one of them.
Yeah, oh mate, trust me, if you get hit by one of them left hands, mate, I would know about that. It's not a good day. But yeah, I thought he fought, you know, incredibly well. Yeah. First 2 rounds, he definitely had that in the bag. I mean, he dropped at Pereira, which is sort of unheard of. Not many people can, you know, can drop Alex Pereira. And then he started fading a little bit, 3rd and 4th rounds, and Pereira just started putting on the pressure on him. So, I mean, it was an insanely good performance, you know, like people were raving about, people were talking about after the fight and stuff like this. So, you know, for him to like even go that many rounds, like whilst even he showed a lot of heart, you know, he had a very good performance. For me, like, I fought that guy, but, you know, ultimately I want the rematch, you know, so as well as he did against the champ, like obviously it's my goal to be the world champ as well. You know, I want that rematch. Like, so it's like I saw that fight and I'm like, yeah, he's very dangerous. Got many aspects that are dangerous, but I definitely think I can beat him. You know, and that is the fight that that is the one that in my head, in like very current, like, you know, sort of early future, is the one that I want. Even before the belt, that's the fight I want as a rematch because, you know, like he beat me the first time and, you know, the injury happened. Okay, well, now let's come back, let's run it back again, let's see if you can do that kick again. Yeah. And let's see if you can land those shots again, you know?
Knee's a little bit more solid than it was last time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Mate, I'm a bionic man, what can I say? You know what I mean?
So interesting. Because even like him, he's had an odd career, hasn't he? He's actually had a lot of losses as well.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably say if it wasn't for like, kind of what he looks like and how promising he was, he could have even got cut. Because I've seen times where he's had like a few losses in a row and you're surprised.
Yeah.
So he's even had an amazing career to get to that position.
Yeah, he really turned things around. I mean, just before he fought me, that's when, unfortunately for me, that's when he had his switch up of like, you know, changing up his mindset, changing up his training, like doing a lot of different things. But mainly for him, I think it was mentally to be on the right frame of mind to sort of work towards going towards a championship and really getting the best out of himself. So yeah, like I said, just unfortunate for me that he did that right before my fight because he came out a completely different fighter to what I had seen. You know, and fair play to him, like I say, for turning all around, you know, getting many wins in a row and stuff like this. But I feel now I'm sort of on that trajectory. So yeah, like I say, it's very exciting times for the future.
Yeah, love that, man. Love that. And you have a new fight announced, my friend, as of yesterday it was?
Yeah, literally yesterday got the call, yeah.
Amazing. So tell us more about who you're going to fight.
So I'm fighting a Brazilian guy. His name's Rafael Sequeira. I don't know if I'm butchering that, but yeah, so he's 11-1. I'm fighting on February 27th in Seattle, Washington. So I've never fought in the US before, so it's nice I get to fight on US soil for the first time in front of a crowd. You know, 17,000 people arena. So obviously that's going to be sick. Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have fought on the UFC London card, but you don't know what could happen. You know, at the end of the day, the way I'm looking at it, go in there, do my thing, do my job, get a spectacular finish, and then who knows, I could quickly turn it around and make it for the March fight. But obviously we've got to get the first, you know, job out of the way first and then see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, look, he can strike, he's got good kicks, but like everyone, he's beatable, and it's about finding the holes and exploiting it and taking them out.
So what are the holes?
For me, it's probably just, it seems like he doesn't really throw too many hands, you know, like he throws a lot of kicks, but not really that many hands, you know, and he's like very light on his feet, very bouncy. He's had some really nice knockouts, but like I say, man, I feel just I am better in those areas than he is. So all I got to do is go out and prove it. So it's my job. So that's what I'm aiming to do. And like I say, I know training camp we're going proper dark mode. You know, separating myself away from any vices and stuff like this, and just making sure I'm really like dialed in. I'm looking to get the most out of myself. I've had a nice like sort of, I've been training hard, but I've had a little break. So this is like me turning turning back over to the dark side. You know what I mean? We're going out there and we're doing this. So I'm looking forward to it.
And we spoke a lot about that. You know, the light side, the dark side, the red lightsaber, the dark blue, dark saber, lightsaber. So again, first episode, go back and watch that. But yeah, man, I love to hear that. Are you training with Tom Aspinall for this one? Or?
Yes, I will be. Funny enough, I just messaged Ante Delia, who's a PFL world champion as well. He's going to be training up there in January. Mick Parkin's going to be training up there in January. Obviously myself, Tom. So again, we're going to get the big boys back together, get the whole crew out there. You know, get the good camaraderie, good vibes, and get some really sick sparring sessions.
And Aspinall is interim heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the creme de la creme that Mo's training with, and it's actually so funny, right? Because when I said who was coming out to the boys, I put it in the group chat. Someone's like, "Who's Modestas? Modestas ain't rolling with us." I was like, "Bro, he's a 25th light heavyweight champion," and they were like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," taking a look at me. They see you, and they're like, "Oh, hello. I didn't know it's gonna be this huge. And you UFC." That's starstruck me. So it's so funny. Boys always like to give it the but when they see the size of this geezer, friendly giant, but you don't want to get on the dark side. You don't want to get on the dark side. Luckily, the dark side is only in the cage.
Yeah, exactly.
They're very friendly on the night out. I will tell you that for certain. I was going to ask you this later, but I'm going to ask you this now, just since we touched on it. So when you've got a fight coming up, no dating.
Yeah, so the way I like to look at it is I can't do anything that's gonna get me outside of my flow, that's gonna make me more tired than I need to be. What I realised, the massive difference before the Manchester fight that I had in July is that, like I said, for literally 12 weeks, it's only if it makes sense and I'm not tired and things are all good will I then go and see someone and hang out and and stuff like this. If it's like I have to go out of my way, or it's gonna mess up my sleep schedule, or it's gonna do something to, like I say, just mess up my flow, then I just won't do it. And I think I'm just gonna be very, very strict with that, because I want to get the best performance out of myself. Marvin Hagler used to talk about sending himself to jail, or he's going to prison for in the lead up towards this fight. Feed the faith and starve the doubt. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only way to do that is to it's almost like, in a really weird sort of sense, you're sort of forcefully suffering, but you kind of like it. It's a weird feeling, but it's like, do you know what? I feel like I need to be in that zone to get the best out of myself primarily for a fight.
I was about to say, is it because you'll get into your optimal, maximum
that's
performance?
Exactly yeah.
So that's a driving factor.
And mate, when you're doing training sessions and they're horrible, and it's for most people that they want to be like, "Oh no, I can't do this, I don't want to do this because it's painful," but I'm like, I want to do it more because it's painful. I want to do it because it's difficult.
You're breaking through the barriers.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, anything he does on fight night, then it's just not going to be as bad as what I'm about to go through in training.
I love that, man. That's something that can motivate anybody. I just started doing high rock training twice a week, and it's been so grueling because it's so different. I'm a bodybuilder, right? So I'm just always training to get my guns bigger. I try. And I don't even consider myself a bodybuilder, but that's technically what I do, right? Weight training 5 times a week. Hey, it's all about you, bro. It's diluting. Come on. Maybe lose my conversion. But transitioning from that to cardio-based fitness is a madness. But if you're gonna do it, definitely do something like high rocks, where it's 1K then it's weights, it's 1K then it's weights, and you get so. I heard this from a fitness influencer. You get so fit, cardiovascularized, when you start training like that, way quicker than it takes to grow muscles. You'll get fit within. You get a lot fitter within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you'll just get fitter and fitter and fitter and fitter, and your recovery as well. Yeah. I make my sessions more intense, which is crazy, every single week. Yeah. Not just my run times, but also the weights that I'm doing as well when I'm doing high rocks. And it's intense, but a lot of the times you want to give up, but the feeling after, you can't beat.
Mate, the endorphins afterwards. But you're cover, like you said, covering all bases, you know what I mean? Your endurance in so many different aspects, so many different systems that your body has to use, and it's just mate, you feel more solid, you know what I mean?
Solid, 100%. And also, question. So, I remember David Haye coming out of an interview, and I know a lot of boxers swear by this, where you can't bust a nut, basically. Like 12 weeks before camp, 8 weeks before camp, and you hear some fighters that are, I guess not a fighter, but like a Dennis Rodman who's smashing Pablo Anderson before games and whatnot. Completely different sport, because it's a team sport, you can get away with it a lot more. But you'll hear some fighters say it doesn't really matter. What's your views on that?
I've got actually a couple of different views on it.
Okay.
One of which is that mentally, it just depends what's going to help get you in the best state of mind. If you feel like you need to smash, like, you know what I mean, like a week before the fight or before you go off to your fight or whatever, just to get that like last hurrah or last bit of relaxation before you go
squeeze.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Before you go out to before you go out to war, then by all means do it if that's going to help you mentally, because a lot of the fight game is mental. So if you're mentally in a good place, as you would be after if you would have done that, do you know what I mean? Then obviously that is a good thing for you. That's why I say like everyone's different. Like physiologically, I actually looked at studies about this. Like I actually kind of looked into it one day, and they say your testosterone does like I say, without busting a nut, your testosterone increases by up to like, I think 300% or something like this if you don't do it. I think for about 7 weeks, and then it starts tapering off. Then it has no effect. Wow. So it's like, if you didn't do it for that much amount of time, it would be literally like at its peak, and then it starts like sort of dripping off after that. So, maybe there is some sort of benefit, but I do feel like it's sort of very dependent person to person. For me,
science.
For me in particular, I mean, before my last fight, I read up that study about up to like 6-7 weeks is when you get like the highest amount of testosterone increase, and obviously I did that. I practiced that because I wanted to get the most out of myself. I mean, you look at situations in my last fight, like I literally got head kicked and I managed to come back and submit the guy. You know what I mean? Maybe mentally I was in a good place. Maybe my training was very good, but also maybe my testosterone was a little bit higher than normal just because of the things that I've been doing before the fight. So, like I say, there's loads of different things. Even another viewpoint that you can look at is, I've got to give a shout out to Will Curry, my training partner, for this. But imagine guys going out to war, right? And like they're about to go out and in front of like literally however many thousand men with swords, and they're like about to fight each other. The same point is as well. It's like, so they're about to go and do that. So that they're going out there and getting all their stuff out the way, and then they're going out and basically trying to kill other men. Do you know what I mean? So there's also that sort of thought process as well. It's like, I'm getting my last thing in, my last good time, and then I've got to go and kill someone anyways. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, there's loads of different views about it. Yeah, exactly. But this is the way.
I get it. Like, people might think that sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, you're going out to take somebody up.
Yeah, hurt someone.
Which a lot of people can't fathom.
Yeah.
Because it's so far away from, their normal life. Especially in the US and UK, which, we haven't had a threat of war in years. So, I get it, man. I get it. Very, very interesting. Thank you for answering my question.
No,
never ever want to ask any of my friends how much they nut. But, since I've got a UFC top light heavyweight in the building, we have to ask. Cool. Moving on. So, you obviously suffered a horrific injury at the feet of Khalil Rountree. Do you want to just quickly run through, because we spoke about it last time, but do you want to just run through what injury it was, the mindset you had with where your fight career was going to go when you suffered that injury?
Yeah. So, the injury itself, I remember, I think it was about 10 weeks prior to the fight, I got an MRI scan done because I noticed something wasn't right. So 75% of the ACL was torn. MCL was chronically worn anyways, and then both meniscuses were also torn. Doctor told me that you can fight, your leg will hold up, you've got good leg strength and stuff like this. he gave me a load of exercise, and I worked with my physio, and we just tried to tackle that situation as best that we could. He says, obviously, you don't know what could happen in the fight, unfortunately, but your leg will hold up for what you have to do. And then, obviously, unfortunately, the injury happened. After that, I think they said it was literally hanging on by like half a tooth loss of ACL that was left. MCL completely torn, and both meniscuses, I think one of them even tore off the bone. So it was a pretty horrific injury, not one that you see before. One thing I'll just have to sort of add in there as a bit of a side note is that people only remember me, and I know it's not everyone, but this is where I want to flip the script. This is where I want to change the whole scenario, because it seems like that is the injury that sort of defied me. It's like, well, he had his time. He got beat against Khalil Rountree and got his leg. He was the guy that got his leg. Leg
one of the worst
snapped.
UFC injuries.
No one's talking about the guy that's that's come back to the UFC. Gone and won 5 out of 6 fights and stuff like this.
We're gonna go into that, don't worry.
Do you know what I mean?
We're gonna touch on that.
Anyways, but so after the fight, obviously the operation was absolutely horrible. I mean, my physio came and watched the operation just so she could like sort of tailor all of my stuff based on what they did, and they had like literally like freaking metal poles going from every sort of which way in my knee. And apparently they all like, they had music in the background, they were like smiling and laughing, and my physio's just sitting there like this, like what are they actually doing to his leg? So yeah, it was a very, like, I remember waking up and straight away the first thing I said, I need more painkiller. Whatever you got, I need more of it. And like, I ended up throwing up like 4 times and stuff like this. Like, it was a very dark time. Obviously, I've mentioned this beforehand.
Drinking.
Drinking a lot.
What motivated you during the dark days, the drinking? Because I know that
it was the. I think a lot of it is proving people wrong. Like, a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to find motivation within yourself." Well, I don't completely necessarily agree with that. I feel like hate is a good fuel to be able to get the best work out of yourself. And just so many people like chatting absolute rubbish about me. The me just saying that I would never come back. A lot of people never thinking I'll come back, thinking that was my peak, that was the end. A lot of people making fun of me and the whole situation. So I'm just like, do you know what? Okay, we'll see if I finished or not. You know what I mean? And I knew that looking back on it, the story would be that much sweeter, knowing that I had to go through all of that hardship in order to get to where I am. You know what I mean? Like, in my head, the way I'm thinking about it in the future when I become a world champion, it's like, when people look at me then, it's just like, do you know what I mean? Exactly. I told you that I was going to get there. No one believed in me. So that for me was the big thing that I was like, I'm going to prove myself right and prove everyone else wrong.
I think that's the beauty of the first episode. We really see how much that affects you. People proving you wrong and wanting to get out there, whatever field it was in. Yeah. You've always kind of had that, and that's always been a massive driving factor. What was different about this injury compared to the others in terms of how you prepped yourself back up again? Because I know this is more serious, but people may not know, but you've been injured before. Yeah. So I had a meniscus injury on my right leg. I've had my nose broken many times, as you can tell by even just looking at the video. I mean, this one was by far the worst, obviously, in terms of all of the, pretty much most of the ligaments being completely torn. Like I say, physiologically, that was like definitely the worst. And just like mentally, there was a lot of challenges. I think physically, I was always very resilient in terms of doing my physio and making sure that I did the right things in order to put myself in the best position to recover as quickly as possible. And I think your body and mind work together. Like, a lot of people think, like the mind doesn't matter that much, but in reality, in terms of recovering from an injury, it can just like, your body just like it just all like connects together. Do you know what I mean? It's trying to work together in order to get, if you're telling your body, I want to get better, I want to recover, things will naturally like start, 100%.
You know what I mean, getting better. So those things, I was thinking about fighting all the time and stuff like this. It was just hard because, in terms of my career, I was thinking, where do I go from here? I've just been cut from the UFC, and that was the dream, and now the dream's over. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do from here?
That's what I was thinking. Is it worse knowing that you've already made it to the UFC, but then knowing that you're probably going to get back there? Or is it worse not even getting to the UFC and thinking, oh, my girlfriend's not believing in me, this is crap, that this relationship's not going where I want, my career's not where I want it to be? What's the worst feeling?
I think the worst thing is having been to the UFC and now you've been cut, because it's way harder the second time around.
Okay.
So the fact that they chose to take me back was already like a massive deal. So to be able to get taken back, it doesn't happen to a lot of athletes. You know, there's been some guys who have been cut and then that was it. They just rode off into the sunset and they fought on other promotions, or they went to, you know, like PFL or somewhere else.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like that was the goal. I just wanted to fight in the UFC. I didn't want to fight nowhere else.
Beautiful. And we have got a break. You got back to the gold standard, the platinum standard. We have a break coming up. However, we'll be back after the break to talk about your success in Cage Warriors. Back in business as always. It's so good to have the champ back on. So I just want to touch on a little bit more of the recovery just before we go into the Cage Warriors success, and so we can give you your flowers. So can you tell us a little bit about the mental and physical recovery process?
Yeah, so I mean, physical is just step by step, isn't it? Really, it's quite like it's literally just like by the book, you know. The physio sort of Leanne, by the way, Distinct Physiotherapy, just give her a little shout out because she done a lot for me in terms of helping me like get back to where I am. And she, like I say, she didn't want to rush things, but also she wanted to go with my trajectory in terms of how much I was getting fitter and better, and, you know, like my leg was doing more things and stuff like this. So she just tailored everything week by week. If it meant that I had to do an extra week of doing the same exercise, then so be it, you know what I mean? So physically, I think everything was very step by step, like easy to follow, and I was going to do it. Like, a lot of people don't do their physio and they never get back to doing what they were doing before, just because they think, oh, how much is it going to really help? But trust me,
you had that Lithuanian upbringing though, bro. That cold,
that proper discipline
dad,
style,
like, yo, you're going to do this, pushing you to your
this must be done now.
But you know what? Think about how much of a difference that makes to, like, just a born British fighter that's, you know, a bit of a posh upbringing. You just don't have that same mental resilience.
Yeah. No, 100%.
More than likely.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's like, I don't know, I guess it just stems from childhood, you know, like, oh, you have to train, you have to do this, and then, but like I say, I think, like, unknowingly you see the fruits of your labor anyways. You see, like, oh, hold on a minute, well, this is, so you're like programming your brain, this is actually what it takes to achieve this. And you know, obviously we all want things, we all want, like, to achieve things in life, so it just naturally sort of carries over. So but yeah, going back to obviously the recovery, so yeah, physically everything step by step, you just got to get through it. But mentally it was very difficult, because I think, like, obviously mentally I was never hard on myself about, like, in terms of the recovery, like, you know, like stepping up and me getting better step up, because I knew it was going to take a long time. I knew it wasn't going to be just like, you know, snap your fingers and you know, be jumping around doing backflips, you know what I mean?
You do a lot,
which I do those, but yeah, like, mentally it was more just like how people view you, how people view you. Like, it's mainly obviously about other people.
Were you looking at social media and stuff?
Oh, mate, yeah.
The worst thing you can do.
Everyone does that, yeah. I couldn't help it, but like I said,
our age, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I use it, like I say, as fuel. It was more just like, do you know what? I'm going to use that as sort of, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. And it's funny because you're posting stuff about your recovery and stuff like this, and you see no one really cares. Like, do you know what I mean? As much as, like, oh, like the actual event of the knee, people remember that, but they don't care about anything after that. They just know, oh, the event, and then that's it. So for me to try and stay motivated myself, I was making YouTube videos, and I thought I was actually doing a pretty good job of editing. I mean, I don't know, like, I started thinking, like, oh, I'm going to be a YouTube star now as well. But anyways, you know what I mean? Like, I was that's what I was doing to keep myself motivated. But it's funny because like I just saw a lot of people just like I say didn't really care. But now when I'm making videos or other people have made videos for me, they take footage from my YouTube clips and they put it in, and it's like when you actually put the whole story together, it's like it looks pretty, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty
Now you're
crazy.
basically back on top.
Yeah.
Now people care, which
Yeah.
is so sad.
Yeah.
But it's what we see, don't we?
Yeah,
It's what
yeah,
we
it's
see
just
from all
how
these
it
kind of
is,
celebrity stories. No one cares when you're at the bottom, and when you're at the bottom, it can go really, really low.
Yeah.
I mean, look at young Philly. He
Yeah.
was at the top, a high. I didn't know how many people he was endorsed by. He was making money for a YouTuber, and then he gets one essay case, let's say.
Yeah.
And now his whole life's coming to pieces. He's in Australia, so he's not even back in the UK. And then today, it's just been put all over social media that he's got done for exceeding the speed limit by 100 miles per hour. Now that's his own doing, but that's only going to make everything else so much worse.
Yeah.
We don't know where he is
Amplified,
mentally. And don't get me wrong, if he did what they're saying he did, F him.
Yeah.
But if he didn't, then it's...
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm not saying that's your situation, but that's just an example of like, you know, how people don't care when you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
What lessons did you learn as a fighter and a person from receiving such a horrific injury?
What lessons? Like I say, I definitely learned that not everyone's out. Like not everyone's out there for your best interest. Not everyone cares about you. You know, sort of a big thing was that actually, like, you know, for me, was that in terms of like people, they're all out for their own sort of, like I say, best interest with everything pretty much. And the thing is, you can't just look at that in a sort of upset way. You've got to actually just sort of take that, like, because like I say, I always want to be nice and kind to people, and, you know, show people, but for the people that deserve it. But you realise if you act a bit wrong to someone who's acted wrong to you, like, you shouldn't really feel two ways about it, because ultimately it's being selfish that it helps some of the best athletes in the world, such as Michael Jordan, to get to the top.
100%.
You know what I mean? So in terms of my career and I'm still learning that to this day. It's still taking time for me to get out of the bad habits of like giving everyone my time, and so I only give time to people that really deserve it, and you know, people that I care about and stuff like this. Like, you know, it's about finding the right balance, but you got to really care about yourself and what you want. Yeah.
I think a good point on that is you shouldn't ever be in a relationship where it's not 50-50. And before girls say, not talk about in terms of money, relax, in terms of effort.
Yeah.
It should be always 50-50 or near there. And don't get me wrong, if someone is going through a bit of a dark time, be a bit understanding that, you know, they might gonna be up to link up at the pub every single they might need a few months off.
Yeah.
But a relationship should always be, you know, over a long span, both people putting in the effort. If it's just one person putting in the effort and the other person coasting or only calling them when they need you for a favour, then they're not your friend, they're not your person, you're not your partner.
Yeah. No, 100%. I completely agree that it's got to be equal from both sides. Just because, like I say, I just realised as well that the effort that I was exuding or bringing out of myself, like, wasn't being reciprocated, and then it's like, you realise you've actually got a very small circle. Like, the more as life goes on, the circle just keeps, and you notice you're actually just hanging around and interacting with very, like, the same people all the time. You actually haven't got like a massive like outreach or anything like that. And you notice when you do have that massive outreach, you kind of just like, you're almost like just acquaintances. You're just like being civil and this and that. But like, the people that are in like your close group, like, you know. There was another thing that I was going to say that I really learned from that defeat was actually, you got to go, and I think I've mentioned it before, but it's about not necessarily having no fear, because fear is something that's powerful, but it's about using that as a power, if you know what I mean. Even in social situations or going out or stuff like this, I used to be terrible at, like, I could easily talk to someone online and then meet them and it was fine because I've already like created that I built that connection. Whereas like you go out like on a night out or whatever, or you'll go to somewhere, like I'll find a lot, I sort of close in a little bit. Yeah. And even people saying stuff that you don't agree with, but you're just like, you just sit there and be a yes man, and it's like, well, no, hold on a minute. Like, I've actually got an opinion, but not to be scared to do that or say things. And the same goes with everything, like even in fighting. Not to be scared to throw that spinning hook kick, not to be scared to do that takedown, because it's the fear that's holding you back to unleash your full potential. And it goes with everything.
Do you know what it is? It's easier to be comfortable, right? Or it's easier to be a defensive fighter and not throw the crazy kick, because you know you're not going to put yourselves in danger's way. And it's just like on a night out, it's easier not to talk to the fittest girl in the club or even a girl in the club, because you can get away like, yeah, fair enough, you might not get the result that you want, but what's worse than that? Getting ridiculed. Well, that's what we build up in our heads as men. So no, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And then you'll see one of the lads in the group that's just going up to so many girls, and you're like, what? How has he got the confidence to do that?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And a lot of times you realise that the outcome isn't actually even that bad if it does go wrong. If it does go tits up, it's like, well, actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and it's like, I can live on. And the thing is, it's just about to be confident with you as a person. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to be confident in myself. It's like, if they don't like it, that's them. That's up to them. Do you know what I mean? I can't change that. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's such a good point. Like, and I've been part of some laddie groups before, right? I don't think I've ever, maybe a little bit, but I've never really heard someone get bantered for just constantly trying it with girls and like getting attention of a couple or one girl. Yeah. You get banter for saying you're gonna do X, Y, Z. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, and then never proving anything on a night out. But if you're someone that's just constantly trying and putting yourself out there, and you get attention of 1 or 2 out of like 20, no one cares about that, because the end result is still the same as the guy that's super confident and gets all the girls that only has to try twice to get the same result. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Because you value the courage,
the work rate.
Yeah, exactly. The courage, the work rate,
and girls do as well. Yeah. Girls, if you ask a girl, would you prefer to be with a self-made millionaire trust fund baby? Sorry, would you prefer to be with a self-made millionaire who's had to work from the mud, or do you prefer to be with a trust fund baby whose parents were rich? No, he's inherited that. They always say the guy that's grinding.
Yeah.
It's something to do that. It's more masculine. It's harder.
Well, you have to go through the grind. The stories that you're going to be able to tell, like all the hardships that you had to go through. It creates you and molds you, as a man. So, and those things then become very attractive. So,
100%. Great chat. How did you feel getting back into the cage after that injury?
I was probably a little bit more hesitant than I normally am. But it's just because it's funny because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, how is his knee gonna hold up?" I'm like, my knee's fine. I've been doing backflips.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm all good. Like, why are you even questioning that? And also, why would I even go into the cage? You know what I mean? And obviously, I had to sort of figure out my timing a little bit, sort of get into fight a little bit more. I definitely threw more than what I thought I did in my, sort of the end of my first UFC run. So I did make like a lot of improvements. The thing that for me is in the cage to just be present, and I definitely felt like I was present. Although I didn't pull the trigger as much as I would have hoped to do. I was definitely a lot more present. I could feel myself in the cage making decisions, and that was a very important thing for me, because I felt like in the fights where I lost beforehand, it was third person, nightmare, like smoke screen, you're not really in there. Whereas with that one in particular, I was just like, I'm here now. Do you know what I mean? I just got to embrace the moment, just just jump and enjoy it.
So lots of lessons taken, I assume. Lots of lessons taken. Fantastic. Have you seen the show The Cage?
It's a new one. I haven't actually. A lot of people have been raving about it.
Have you met Cliff? Yeah, you did. Cliff came with me to watch one of your fights.
Yeah.
When you won the belt.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
He was like, I know you've been trying to get me into MMA for years. You need to watch this. It's my favourite new series. And I watched it. It's so good. I'm on the 4th episode out of 5. So good. And I don't want to ruin it for people. I don't want to ruin it for you. But I will say one thing, just because I want to get your opinion on it. Like, he gets knocked out at one point, and it's obviously a really bad knockout, and he has PTSD from that, and it's all about like him like trying to come back and saying that he's fine because he needs to be the macho man, and then realistically not being fine. Did you have any of that?
Well, PTSD from the knee, if you're talking about in that situation, not really. I feel like if you go out into a fight and you literally sort of give it everything, if you go out there and put it all on the line and for some reason you get caught with a punch, I don't feel like that would give you PTSD. Like in me personally anyways, like I feel like it'll be like, well, I literally gave it my best shot, I got caught, and if you realise you made a mistake doing something, like you made an error that cost you the fight, it doesn't get in your head. All you're thinking is, I just need to work on this, fix this, realise that was just a mistake tactically or whatever, strategically and stuff like this, and then move forward. You know what I mean? As long as you're going that and putting everything on the line, I think it's a lot easier. It's like where you're being hesitant and then you get caught with a shot and you're like, oh, that creates that more of that fear or that, you know, like kind of hesitation to want to get into the fire or get into the pocket. I feel like you've got to, and if that has happened to you and you do feel hesitant, it's about the training. Like if your training then doesn't imitate how you're going to feel in the fight, then you're really, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Everything needs to be very then specific in training. Like if you get caught in the pocket and that becomes you got to put yourself in the fire. If you get caught with a good wrestler, submission guy, or whatever, then you got to put yourself in that situation. It's about you got to literally face your fears. I think that's the best way to overcome any of those.
But he faces his fears, and that's how he goes and becomes it. Which is so interesting, so interesting. I think it shows as well how important it is. Shows the mental health aspect and needing a coach. It might not just be your gym partner, but you need someone that you can also talk to about what's going on and not feel emasculated. And that's the goal of what we're trying to do at Step Up Coaching, or what I'm trying to do with Talk Club, which is a charity, trying to just get men open up and talking to people more and talking. If you don't have that support network, that's fine, but talk to a professional who's got the time to help you, as opposed to just trying to talk to your friends and getting shut down. Because as we know, as men, if we get shut down, then that's the last time we're open up. And we just bottle it all in. Yeah,
and it's about having a neutral perspective, or having someone who's going to look at things from both angles instead of just having more of a biased opinion. It's funny saying that. I actually feel like I should genuinely talk to my dad more, because I remember every time I would talk to him about certain things, I realised like actually it's either helped me out massively or it's made me feel more calm about a situation. It was helped me make my decision a lot better. You know, like obviously they're not you, and like ultimately you got the decisions down to you, and they are going to have probably an opinion about something. But I don't know, it's mad, because I feel like he really does have my best interests at heart, and he's always going to want me to do the best, but he's also very open-minded. This is what's hard to find with people these days. It's like they're very closed-minded with certain things.
Everyone's got their opinion, and everybody, if you're someone that's like on the left, let's say, and you agree with a Donald Trump point, then you're the worst person in the world, you're MAGA, you'll make America great again, and the exact same on the other side. Everybody wants to be so boxed off nowadays. It's ridiculous. And that's why I do this show, is trying to stop people from having an opinion, an educated opinion, from having critical thinking, of saying, I might align with these views, I might be LGBT, I might be gay, however, I'm not gay. No diddy. But I don't agree with trans women fighting biological women in, the Olympics. It's okay to say that, but people in that group people in a group make you feel so bad. So I completely agree. It's so important to have that person. It's great that you've got that with your dad. Obviously Step Up Coaching as well.
100%. I mean, listen, he's your guy that you need to talk to. You know what I'm saying? Man.
Pressure. Did you put more pressure on yourself in your comeback fight to Luke? Was it Luke?
Lee Chadwick.
Lee Chadwick.
Did I put more pressure on myself?
Yes.
I don't know. It's a weird one. Again, I had such a notion in my head that I was going to win that I didn't really put pressure on myself.
I'll tell you what. Break down both of your Cage Warriors fights shortly, and tell us what was the end outcome.
Right. So. In the Chadwick fight, Obviously, it's my first fight back after like the injury. You know, no one really knew like how I was going to perform or what was going to. And you know, like I say, I did the job. I won a majority decision on all 3 judges' scorecards. And you know, he was a great guy, like very good athlete. You know, very highly tutored. But when I went into that fight, again in my head, I knew that I was going to win. I had one of my training partners. He stayed with me most of the week. Again, Will. Shout out to Will. He was like, he just got me in the right mind frame. You know what I mean? Talking about war, talking about like these things, like, you know, you're leaving your family, you're going out with your axe. You got, you know what I mean? Stuff like this, just to get myself like in a proper sort of primal spirit in order to go out there and do the job. And like I say, I just knew, again in my head, I'm going in there with the intention of winning, not with the fear of losing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then the same went for the Chuck Campbell fight, which I fought for the belt again. That was the second time I fought for the world title against an American guy. Just, you know, knocked out a load of people. Funny enough, I just saw this guy fight recently, and he just knocked someone out cold who was like a massive standout in I think in Sweden or in Norway, and like, so the guy was got some punching power. You know what I mean? I felt like my presence may have made him more fearful. This is what I'm saying. I went into that fight again. I'm gonna win the belt again. I'm gonna have a spectacular show. Everyone's gonna remember who I am and stuff like this. Hanging out with Will, and where I became the main event and it wasn't supposed to be, and stuff like this. So in my head again, I already had the intention of winning. Like I was going in there thinking I'm gonna put it on him. Straight away from the first bell, I threw an axe kick into a spinning hook kick and stuff like this. And already from that moment, that's what created the tone of the whole fight, where he was backing up most of the fight. You know, yeah, he had very powerful hands, but he couldn't land it on me, and I wasn't letting him because I was enforcing my will and my pressure against him. Again, just from the mindset that I had going into that fight, knowing I was visualizing the belt wrapped around my waist. I was visualizing a finish, and I did get the finish. That was my first ever knockout with like cold knockout with hands. And it's funny because my dad, right before the fight, all he was saying to me was like, "Modestas, why can't you get knocked out with hands? I've been waiting." Like, he says he's been waiting for years. He's like, I can't understand. He literally told me, he's like, I can't understand why you can't get me a knockout like that. And then after the fight, I said, "Is that good enough, Dad?" You know what I mean? But
making your dad proud. What a beautiful thing, man.
Oh well, you know, I think a lot of it, like, it's our journey. I don't feel like it's even just my journey, because I take him around the world everywhere with me, and where it's not just my career as well, but it's also a continuation of, for example, what his career could have been. Do you know what I mean? Because he didn't get the chance to put his skills on show. Yeah, exactly. It's the legacy of him, exactly. And I enjoy, like, for everyone to think, oh, that's a bit of pressure, but for me, I enjoy carrying that.
Has he ever told you like how much he appreciates you?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. He tells me that all the time, and I think that's why we've got, like I say, such a good relationship. He's the only one who tells me that. Well, he's not the only one, but the main guy to tell me, "You're the best in the world. You can beat all of these guys." And it's like, imagine that's constantly getting fed into your head. Like, a lot of outside noise can get, you know, can put a smoke screen over it, but with him, he's like constantly telling me. And it's funny because it's your family, because you're around them all the time. Like, you almost. Like, I remember I didn't really necessarily appreciate it as much, but now I appreciate it massively, and you've got to really like believe it and take it, because then that's what helps you to, you know, perform better and perform at your best.
100%. And how does it feel, my boy, being a double champ, 1 in 4 people to ever do it at Cage Warriors, alongside Dan Hardy, who's probably the most recognisable name.
Yeah.
How many other people? Who else has won the Cage Warriors? Was that McGregor?
Nicholas Dalby's won it twice.
What about
I think Conor McGregor?
Yeah, McGregor's won it once to go to UFC.
Yeah.
So you're up there with the big boys. So how does it feel?
In the history books, man.
Double champ.
Yeah.
Champ.
My man. So, like I say, I knew that it would be going down in history. The fact that I would win it. All of these things just motivate you. They make you feel more excited for the event. They make you feel like, oh yeah, I really want to put on a performance. So it just brings the most out of you. You know what I mean? The thought of that like before actually going into the event made me even more motivated and more like kind of like sharp and ready and dedicated and everything that goes with it. I mean, it's an amazing achievement. Like for me, it's about like really like leaving that legacy and to be in the history book. People always remember me for being a 2-time champion, and that's one thing that's one good milestone that I've created in my life and in my career. We've got many more to achieve, but for me that was like a big thing to almost bring my confidence back up to where it should be in terms of the goals and dreams that I had in the first UFC run. Was that, you know, I thought I could be a world champion. I thought that I could, you know, beat everyone. Unfortunately, it didn't go my way, and it's like I needed to get back into that mindset again. I can be the best in the world. And after that, that gave me again the motivation and the inspiration that I actually can do it.
Fantastic. I love that answer. So, how do you stay motivated, my boy, in the doing all that training? Because I think about when I'm struggling, when I'm training in the mud, when I'm really going for it, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore, but then I snap back out of it. Obviously, playing sport when you're younger helps. Having that kind of like male, kind of like, nothing's gonna stop you. Yeah, macho brain, kind of fed to you from your dad helps. But I always think about what you go through, what Francis Ngannou went through, and I'm like, or what Marines go through, and I'm not even doing a fifth of the training that these boys are going through. So you can get through this session. But what keeps you motivated through all of that intense training?
I think it's just about the willingness of suffering. I know it sounds like really weird, like why would you put yourself through suffering? It's like you've almost got to feel like it's almost got to be this pain, like you think to yourself. I always think to myself, well, what is pain? Like what like that's just my brain telling me that it's pain, but what actually is it? What do you know what I mean? Like it's not, it's just all in my head. Like, so I can actually push through that because, you know, my body's telling me one thing, but hold on a minute, like this is good. I need to keep feeling this. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like you have a weird obsession with wanting to continue to feel the horrible parts of your training because you want to make it your body more numb to those feelings.
When you're in the fight, everything becomes a little bit easier.
Oh, 100%. And like I say, you're like pumped up, filled with adrenaline going into a fight as well. You've almost got like superpowers. This is another thing why going into the fight with confidence, you got to realize that the fear and the nerves and the goosebumps is all a superpower. It's all literally getting the when there's a bear, you know, in the woods or whatever, and you got to escape. Like your body's in fight or flight mode. Like it's everything's sharpened. You're sensing. Your punches are harder. You're faster. Your cardio is better. So this is exactly what you're going through, sort of in a fight. And imagine if your actual attributes have been improved that much in your training, then in a fight it's going to be
you're unleashing your best self.
Yeah.
There you go, ladies. Man versus the bear. Modestas is actually picking the bear because he's one of the only few men in the world that could beat it. We'll be back after the break. So back to you, my boy. So how did you find out you were back in the UFC? Now I know the story, how you found out for the first time you're in the UFC, but tell me what it was like getting the call up for the second time.
So second time was, I think, a lot more fulfilling. It was such a weird day because I remember it was about just under 2 months after I'd won the Cage Warriors belt again, and I was sort of thinking to myself, what's happening next? Like, where are we going? And it's just so weird, I feel, like how the universe works, or how everything like ties together the way that you really want it to, if you have like a clear goal and vision and you work hard towards it. But so basically, I remember going out to Newcastle to see my stepmom's parents, basically my grandparents, and you know, we go out there like most years, and it's funny, always after we go on that trip we always get some form of good news, which is like crazy, and the streak continues. So we were just training on the beach, like, you know, like having time with family, and then I remember we came back, or as I was out there, I told some guys, I can't remember the name of the productions that they're called. But anyways, like a close guy in terms of like doing filming and stuff like this. He'd recorded me before the Cage Warriors fight, and then I just said to them like, can we make a video like just to show where I come from? I just won the belt again. Like I should, because I remember saying in an interview afterwards, I feel like I'm UFC ready. So I said, can we put that together? So I asked them to make that, and we put it out there. Got a lot of good attention. Like, you know, people took it really well. It was a very well done video, so shout out to them. And then
so who was that, like a media company?
Yeah, it was a media company. I can't remember the exact name of the company, unfortunately. But anyways, they did a great job. Very well put together. It was sick. And then yeah, so that was on the weekend that they put it out there, or I think on the Monday. And then on the Wednesday, I was going to my normal, or about to go to my normal training in Northampton. And I got a text from my manager saying, you've got to defend your Cage Warriors belt. Here's the date, March. I was like, you know, I was a little bit disheartened because I was like, potentially it could have been UFC court, but I was like, okay, doesn't matter. Bag another body, move to the top. That's how it works, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to training as if nothing happened, right? Went to training. Okay, I've got an opponent. Like, you know, get myself in the zone for that. And then I was driving home, and I get home late from Northampton. Like, we finished at like 9:30, 9:45, and I remember I was driving back. It was probably near to my house. It was about 10:45 at night, and right before the radius outside my house has got no signal. But it's like a 5-minute radius in terms of driving. So I was literally 5 minutes away from my house, and I was driving through the woods, and I get a call from my manager, and it was like a video call. And normally I don't get video calls from my manager, ever, right? And then I remember I like pulled over to the side of the road just before where the signal cuts out, by the way. And I answer the call, and he goes, yo, Modestas, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, not too bad. I'm like, just finished up training, blah, blah, blah. He goes, what's your weight looking like? And I said, well, I mean, I'm not fat, so I guess that's a good thing. We're all good, like, you know, I'm in shape. He goes, you're fighting in Australia in 2 weeks, in just under 2 weeks' time. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? And then he goes, you're back in the UFC. I was like, are you for real? Like, I generally, at that point, I remember just like my mind was going all over the place. I was like, you must be like actually kidding me. Yeah. Like, and he says, yeah, you're fighting Tyson Pedro, you're going to Perth and blah, blah, blah. And I remember I just like sort of straight away just burst into tears, because I was like, everything that we've been through, like everything that we've been through together, and then we're back now. Like, this is where we wanted to be. I said,
was it expected though?
No, it wasn't. This is why it hit me so hard, because I was like, I thought I was going to have to defend my Cage Warriors belt. And then next thing you know, he pulls that out of the bag, pulls that out of the hat. And it's mad because, again, like, universe, just, that video was made, right? Then I got reset. But not only that, I remember looking in future cards, where could I possibly step up as a late notice replacement? And I remember looking at that fight, thinking, that could be something. And then all of a sudden it happened. So I remember I said, I ain't gonna let you down. Like, you know, we're gonna go and smash this guy in his home country. And I'm driving home, and I'm playing like this Witcher like trap remix like music, like proper, like when you're getting ready to go to battle, mate. That's the type of music you're playing. I was just like screaming in my car. I was like, yes! Like, I was going like mad. I was just like, and then I remember pulling up to my house, and I just felt like very like fuzzy, like weird. Like, I felt like I was on drugs almost. Like I kind of halfway felt through between being a dream and being drunk. Like, I was like halfway between that, and I couldn't really explain how the hell. Like, I was like, what's going on? I felt like I was literally like in a video game almost. It was weird. I went upstairs. I went to obviously say to Rose, my stepmom. I said, like, listen, I'm going to bring Dad in here. I've got some news to tell you. And she was like a bit worried. She was like, what's going on? And then my dad was in his room. He's like, what the hell? I'm tired. My body hurts. Like, what could you possibly want? And then he I'll bring him into the room, and obviously I'll tell him that we're back in the UFC, and like we like hugging each other, like crying, and we just like it was just a massive, like, crazy, like, ecstatic moment. Obviously, I couldn't go to sleep after that either.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
so I was just like in just like a massive, like, I remember I called about 4 people that were close to me afterwards and stuff like this. But then he goes, "Oh, Modestas, where are we fighting?" I said, "Australia." He's like, and I remember he said, like, the week before that out of all the places I wouldn't want to go was Australia, and the next thing you know, we're going there.
I was gonna say, because that's what I wanted to ask you. Well, one, I'd just say that's mad that it was, you know, because I think you said it was more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Compared to the first one, so I'm shocked at because you won the Cage Warrior belt, but then it makes sense bear in mind what you said. But how did you feel taking such a short notice fight in Australia, which is going to take you ages to get to as well, on the other side of the world?
Well, I wanted to prove myself, so I was just ready to fight. This was my 3rd fight in 3 months. You know, it's kind of unheard
Crazy.
of.
Because you literally recovered like in a year. I thought you were going to be out for like 3 years.
Yeah.
You recovered in a year, and then you had like 3 fights in 3 months.
No, it was mad. 14 months from injury to being back in the cage, and 16 months from injury to being back in the UFC. Like, the turnaround, I didn't even expect for it to be that quick. But I remember I just wanted it, obviously, so badly. But yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to go to Australia. I'd never been. I thought it was sick. Like, I'm taking a trip to another country.
Yeah, of course,
I called my training partner Will. I said, "Yo, let's get out there." You know, my dad was. We had such a good team. Like, we had such a good family spirit. Me, Will, and my dad. Like, it was like literally like 2 brothers and like the dad. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were just like we had such good camaraderie. Like, it was a perfect team to go out there to go and do the job. And again, I had Will in my ear and Dad in my ear the whole time. You can beat this guy. You're better than him. Go and show them who you are. We were on a featured prelim spot. Like, you know, there was a lot of good positive energy. And all of the people there believed in my abilities and what I could do. And they, like I say, we just worked together to create this sort of outcome. So it was mad. But we, just to put it out there, we got there on Wednesday at 4 in the morning, and I fought on Sunday at 10 in the morning, all local time. But I mean, usually it takes people like a week to get over jet lag, and so it was like the odds were against us, put it that way. So the fact that I had to deal with all the jet lag and all this kind of stuff and still put out the performance that I did was...
Who do you think the UFC expected to win?
Probably Pedro.
Yeah, because he had a little bit of hype around him, didn't he?
Yeah, he just won a couple of fights. Same like me, but just obviously outside the UFC. But I think he just got 2 knockouts in a row, or 3 knockouts in a row. So they obviously, he was a massive favourite.
You got the decision win,
and then I got the decision win,
which you weren't happy about after.
Huh?
Which he wasn't happy about after. He wasn't.
No, he like they all knew that I'd won that fight.
Oh,
like
yeah. I thought he was a bit funny about it.
Nah, there was probably my fight after that.
Oh, it's your fight.
Yeah. But that one, like I said, no one expected me to win, but I think that was a fight that really thrust me into the spotlight, because you know, I went on Ariel Helwani's show as well, which was pretty cool, you know. So it was good to get my story out there and stuff like that. But yeah, it was mad. Like, it was just crazy for me because there was a massive whirlwind. But yeah, it was really good times.
Yeah, that was sick watching that Ariel Helwani interview. I watched that. We spoke about that last time actually. It was cool. Preparing yourself to step up and build it, do you know?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Exactly.
Who cares?
Now we're at the big time, do you know what I mean?
Big time now, baby. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. So let's talk about some of those other fights that you've had. We'll talk about the loss after, but what's the key to success after your injury, now being 5-1? Since the injury. So that's 3 of those fights, 3 of those wins have been in the UFC.
Yeah. So, well, I was constantly learning lessons. I'll just tell you the lessons that I learned off, you know, sort of chronologically. I would say the first thing was kind of like almost you're creating less pressure just because, like, I remember I was just training all the time. I was trying to improve all the time. I had a whole year where I was sitting out. I was technically ready to fight around March, April time, and I didn't fight till November after the injury. So having to wait, and you just have to enjoy the process. I was not enjoying the process before. Like, I was just like, I need to get to the fight, or I need a fight, or I can't live life. Like, everything, if I haven't got a fight, I'm not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? So actually having the time out where you're like, do you know what, I'm just going to keep improving. I'm going to keep getting better, keep working on my skill set. Because the only time you're really going to improve your actual skill sets is outside of fight camp, not in fight camp. Sometimes if you're preparing for a specific opponent, you'll obviously improve attributes in your game, like I did, like for example, leading up to my first Cage Warriors title fight, but in terms of wrestling defense. But realistically, you're not going to improve massively in camp, because you're just preparing to fight someone, as opposed to outside camp. I can open up my mind, I can try new things, and I can just play with it. You know what I mean? So that was one thing, is just enjoying the actual process and just always being in training and being ready to go on a moment's notice. So that was something big for me that I actually learned, and I actually started to enjoy life more after that. Getting back to the UFC, and I was like, I'm actually enjoying my life more, because I'm actually enjoying the process of doing all of this training, and and then I could do other things. I made a better balance for myself, especially mentally. Like I could,
how could you motivate people that the guy that's struggling to get into shape, or what advice would you be? You've just said enjoy the process. How can people enjoy the process for something that they might not enjoy?
I'm just a weird guy, man. I'm just a weird guy. Like, genuinely.
You've been a PT before, so what could you say, obviously being a high performing athlete, that could motivate Joe Blogs on the couch eating Cheetos, not doing much with his life?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would always say this to people. It's like, imagine you're getting to an age where you can't move around, you can't do the things that you've always wanted to do. You can't play with your kids, or you can't, do these things. And then, and you're sitting back thinking, wow, so I've literally just wasted all of this time where I could have been insanely shape. I've always said in my life I wanted to have a six-pack. I've always said in my life I wanted to be able to do this or do that. So you're going to go through life not achieving the full capacity that your body is able to achieve. I mean, that's a sad life. You know what I mean?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. That is such a beautiful point. I would say privilege is invisible to those that have it, right?
Yeah.
Like the amount that we take for granted.
This is so true.
The amount that we take for granted, like the amount, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna hire up. Imagine we don't have any legs.
Yeah.
I can't even do that. There's people out there that don't have legs that can't even enjoy that luxury. And I'm moaning about high rocks, hence why I just always get it done. Because people even look at me and they're like, how are you in the gym 5 times a week? And how do you get up that early? Blah, blah, blah. And then there's someone like you that's doing it on another level. And there's someone in the Marines that's maybe doing it on another level. Yeah. So, that was, I think you really hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, man, like I say, you got to try and, I think, I'm pretty sure it's Bruce Lee said it, or someone that said, imagine or Socrates or something, I can't remember, Socrates, everyone should, like, it's something about physical abilities, like every man should live to try and maximize their physical output, basically.
I can agree more. I can agree more, especially as men as well, because we're built to be such doers, and we still kind of have that whole provider and protector role. Like, as much as modern times have changed, that's still when we look forward to a certain extent. And that's kind of what we're built between. And when the dad breaks down, the whole family breaks down. I think a lot of pressure is put on our backs.
I've got another example actually, about in terms of like for people that are struggling to like get into shape and stuff like this, right? So I had this one client, still my client today actually. And I'm like insanely proud of him because of where he started to where he is now. Obviously he needed a bit of a kick up the butt, but that was what was needed in order for him to feel the way he is now. I mean, at the beginning, very high blood pressure, had to be on medications and stuff like this. Couldn't go like literally more than 5 minutes without like huffing and puffing. At the beginning of our training sessions, we weren't doing anything crazy by any means. No cardio, like all weights thrown up. Always throwing up, I'm talking that, and that was because of the blood pressure, obviously. But as the weeks went on, not only, for starting from lifting, I'm talking just 10 kilos to now lifting 22, to getting towards 25, like comfortably. And these are the things that he sort of should have been doing anyway. But now he says he's got more energy, he feels better, more mental clarity. Okay. You're able to enjoy all aspects of life even more. It's more amplified because you're enabling yourself, you're unlocking. It's like unlocking levels in a computer game. Do you know what I mean? You're just unlocking different levels or different tiers of enjoyment in life, you know. So, you know, now you can go out and making better choices, even like going out on a night out and you know, enjoying the fact that you don't have to drink. Like, that's also a skill. Do you know what I mean?
I think the key is that, because I've seen different videos on this and from different opinions, like you hear these fat influencers like, I love being fat. It's like, well, you don't like it when you see fat influencers die from all these things like the high blood pressure, or you don't like it when you struggle to get off the couch and all the joint pressure that you feel, and you're not dating who you want to date because you look that way. Like, I get it, you might enjoy the food and whatnot, but you don't like a lot of the problems that come with it.
Yeah.
And just being mindful, like, it's so important for us to develop in areas that we know that we should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I had a guy on here the other day and he was like, men shouldn't change themselves. I'm like, no, men shouldn't change themselves. If you like geeky Star Wars films, continue to enjoy that. But things that are going to improve you as a person, you should do, because you become more attractive for yourself, which is going to make you feel better, more attractive to other people. You're going to get more done, more energy, more confidence. You're going to look better, feel better.
Like all aspects of your life, just
and you can't feel depressed if you're doing the best that you can.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny because you've probably heard this somewhere in one of maybe Huberman's podcasts. But it's something about a cortex in your brain that every time you do something that you actually do not want to do, this cortex gets larger, and that's like a massive teller basically of how long you're going to live in your life. So basically it starts off very small, so every time you don't do something that you know is difficult and you don't want to do it, but you do it anyways, it gets bigger. But if you don't, it gets smaller. And the larger the cortex is, actually it's a massive guideline into what your life expectancy is going to be, and it's how resilient you are to dealing with diseases and ailments and stuff like this. So like I say, just in general, you are just enhancing your life. You're you know, I mean, getting the best out of yourself is a requirement in life. Like, why not live to get the most out of your being? Do you know what I mean? Why have to? You're limited then. Do you know what I mean? You're limited to a load of things in life. So yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, mind, body, and something that, you know, I know the saying is mind, body, and soul. But what people don't actually realize is, realistically, the third one is the second brain, which is the gut. What you
that's
feed.
true. Yeah.
You know, what you feed yourself, what you feed your gut. And all of those three things are so interconnected.
Yeah.
The healthier you are physically and mentally, you're going to live longer. Of course you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Love that. So you're 5-1. You won your last fight by submission.
Yeah.
Is that the first fight you've won by submission since being a pro, or
No, first in the UFC.
First in the UFC. How was that?
I think it's my third submission in total.
Against Prachnio?
Prachnio. Yeah.
Prachnio. How was that?
It was a mad fight. It was my first fight on home soil in the UFC. 23,000 people, Manchester. It was an amazing event. Walking around Manchester, like the whole vibe, like even when I go back there, I just get nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like I'm like walking around the streets. I'm like, this is the same street that I was walking when you know I was on fight week and stuff like this, and it was just so cool. Like, you know, being in your home country, because you know you had like people waiting outside the hotel, like waiting to get autographs and stuff and take photos, and you know, just the whole vibe. Like, there's such good energy. I had such good people. I had my very close people, like all around the same place, and we all like had lunch together and stuff like this. So it was just really good vibes. You know what I mean? And obviously, he was a very tricky opponent. You know what I mean? He does things that no one else normally does.
Like what?
Like, he's a karate style fighter, so he wings, which I'll tell you about in a minute. He wings shots from so many different angles that aren't conventional, you know? So where he may be weak in certain areas, he's very strong in being unconventional, which makes him very tricky for people. That's why he had a couple of wins on the trot as well himself. So yeah, he was a tricky opponent, but like I say, I always knew I could beat. I mean, going out into a crowd and like you're lifting the Lithuanian, the British flag, and people are cheering for you, and then you're facing off, and like it was just such a vibe fighting. Like, people are talking about you being the hometown guy, like that was a big thing for me, and especially
Talking the hardest.
Yeah, oh mate, talking the hardest. You know that was banging out with them speakers, mate. Trust me. People, as soon as it goes, cheese, everyone just starts doing it.
Hey, what's going on, mate? You need a shout out from gigs.
I know, seriously, man. We need to get him on the walkout. You know what I mean? When I'm fighting for the world
You
title.
know
what I mean?
Forget for the world title. We need to get on before. You got to be you're one of the top Brits at the moment in the UFC.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. Yeah. Listen, I'll headline a card, and then trust me, we'll make it happen. Let's go, gigs.
I'll reach out to my connections.
But yeah, man, the fight obviously went to plan. We got the submission, but something that no one, well, I've mentioned it before, but so I believe I was winning the fight. I landed more shots. I had him rocked, and then in the second round I dropped him.
Yeah.
And I went a bit mad. I went a bit too crazy. I felt this was my moment. Yes, man, I'm gonna knock him out. And I thought genuinely like this is it. And then out of nowhere, from about as close as his microphone is to me, he kicks my head out of nowhere. And it's funny because I don't remember anything after that.
Really?
So everything that I did in the fight must have been on autopilot. This is why I say a massive lesson in terms of me achieving where I want to go is you have to do everything right, or as many things right as possible. Not going out, not drinking, making sure you're eating the right things, making sure you're getting the recovery and resting your body, and doing cold plunges, doing saunas, stuff like this. Like really get them out, because I was in my peak form. So the fact that I was able to take a head kick, like clean, I'm talking clean on the chin, and I managed to take him down. I got into the second round as well, at the end of the second round, sorry, and my dad was trying to talk to me. I was literally, my eyes were cross-eyed. I was like looking across the cage, and I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't actually, like I say, I can't picture that in my head now. Thinking back, I can't remember that. I went into the third round, and I think he was trying to get the finish early, so he just threw a barrage of shots, and again, all on autopilot. I managed to take him down, got on top of him, and I think he wore himself out a little bit, and then I ended up getting the submission. I threw out a backflip. I said happy birthday to my stepmom.
So you were still on autopilot?
All of that was autopilot. And
so you don't remember any of it?
Don't remember none of it.
That's good.
The weird thing is that like, so I did a backflip, and I didn't even know I did it. Like, but all of those things I'd visualized. Yeah. So I'd actually visualized all of it.
Created a mental picture.
In my head, I already knew that this was gonna, I knew this was gonna happen. So everything just came out naturally. I woke up, not even when they were doing the medicals after the fight. I remember waking up just as I was about to do interviews. Thank God, because what I would have said, I don't know. You know what I mean? I was literally.
That's a mad trip, my boy.
I was completely gone. I only remember waking up, not even walking out of the cage and into the crowd. I only remember doing the interviews afterwards. So that was a mad experience. But again, that is a testament to doing everything right, to making sure that I'm eating correctly, sleeping correctly, not going out when I shouldn't be going out. I was doing everything right. That was one thing that before that, so obviously I know we're going to get into it anyways, but I might as well just blend into it, is that when I fought in Brazil, a lot of people thought I was winning the fight up until the point. I made a mistake, and then he caught me, and then the fight was over, right? And everything was going my way up until that point.
Prachnio,
yeah. Everything was going my way up until that point. And I just realized that my lifestyle was very like kind of trained my butt off, but I went out a little bit too much. I did things that I probably shouldn't have been doing in terms of being in a fight camp. Like why are you still drinking? Why are you maybe going out and then going to training tired or whatever. Still putting out my 100%, but just thinking, because I've done it before and things were working right, like that I could continue doing that, and I realized that you can't do that.
Yeah, that's a huge life lesson. I'm glad you got that clarity. When me and you link up, we know it's always gonna be a night out. So I'm not gonna see my guy when he's in fight time, but I know he's gonna go out, bash a man up, and then we're gonna celebrate.
Straight away, we're going for that after party.
100%. So I look forward to that. So I ain't gonna see you for a few months, but it's all for greatness. We'll be back up to the break. Man's ready. We were just discussing about some of the guests that I've had on, and I'm happy to debate anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Man wants the smoke. Come
on, the smoke. I want the smoke. Piers Morgan, bring me on. when it comes to societal issues, I'll debate with the best of them and come out on top. Brilliant. So we would just let's talk about your loss.
Yeah.
Because you come back since after that. So Prachnio loss, knockout. Yeah. Unfortunately, how did that feel? Having your first loss and first knockout loss after, again, your horrific injury.
Yeah. So again, that was a fight that I still believe to this day that it was very winnable. I was landing a lot of very, very nice shots. I was starting to feel my rhythm. It was in Brazil.
Yep.
The guy was very respectful, very good athlete. There was no animosity or anything like that. So obviously it was in his hometown. Obviously he had the crowd behind him and everything. But I felt like everything was going my way. I felt like everything was going right until it didn't, unfortunately. And sometimes it's a game of inches, especially when you're fighting the best fighters in the world. They catch you with one shot, they get you on the chin, 4-ounce gloves. You can't really, even though I was there, it was like a flash knockdown for me. But yeah, I think it was a good job on Goddard's part to stop the fight there. For me, I handled the loss better, like in terms of I still went out with my guys. I still tried to just think about the positives and and stuff like that. But it was a hard loss because it pushed me into a very dark time mentally after that fight. Just because I was trying to figure things out, I just realized that a lot of things just weren't going right in my life after that loss. I just realized that even in training, things weren't going right. I did a wrestling competition. I could have done a lot better. So a lot of things in training and around that time, things just weren't going right. And I was trying to sit there. And it's funny because the first thing I said after I lost that fight, I said, I feel like I probably went out too much. I think I probably straight away without even. I looked at that fight and I'm like, I got caught with something that was just a freak shot in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to do a trick move and he just punched me at the same time. Yeah. It's just how it happened. So I was thinking to myself, so technically and there was a couple of things that I should have done better against the cage, but that was perfect. That was something that I can improve upon. I'm like, okay, I can take something from this. But like I say, the biggest thing I was like, had I had done everything right, would I have approached this fight even better? For example, would I have been able? Things just didn't seem. Things just obviously just didn't seem like right to me.
So basically, yeah, it's easier to forgive yourself for things that you may have being able to train on a little harder. But when it's the inner work and the more simple things, that's what you're taking full accountability for, and that's the stuff that's more of a struggle. Yeah,
and it's like I knew that I needed to be. It's funny because already all of that started to taper down by the time it got to the Prachnio fight, but it still hadn't stopped completely. And like I said, I went through a bit of a dark period until my birthday, which was in February. But then things started going right. I started winning, I started doing well in a wrestling competition. I started doing good in training. I started meeting up with Tom Aspinall and his team, and I messaged him, and everything just seemed, again, the universe works in mysterious ways. Everything just everything just fitted into place perfectly how I wanted it to. I realized that their team was great, that, I got some very good sessions with them.
Do you believe in karma?
See, I think there's a very, sort of fine line, in my opinion, with karma, because I feel like all the time, like God or the universe, there's always trying to be a lesson to be learned in order for you to achieve what you're fated to do. Because I've seen a lot of bad people or people that have done a lot of wrong things that still end up succeeding. So I don't know, maybe they have karma in different ways. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Do you know what you sometimes got to ask yourself though? A lot of people that may even be successful, especially with the superficial things, look where they end up. Look at the Diddy's of the world. Look at these people that they may have got all that success, but are they ever really happy for being such a crap person? And I always think if you're doing good and you're putting your best foot forward, things usually tend to come. Positive things usually tend to come.
Yeah.
And when you're doing things that you shouldn't, even though it's not being the worst person in the world, but you do things that you shouldn't. It weirdly reflects.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You say with the universe.
100%. You're not really on your path. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's sort of it's there as a wake up call. That loss was a wake up call for me, you know. And the thing is, if I would then choose to not take that and actually like try and figure out what I needed to do better, because I realized again, like in training I was just performing better, my recovery was better, all these things, and again leading towards the big day, which is getting that fight and then taking a head kick and still managing to win, like without having full consciousness. If I didn't do all of my training right, I knew I would have lost that fight.
Yeah.
So it's mad how that was it. And now going into future fights and stuff like this is now I understand that this is how it has to be done. You have to go into jail, you have to go into prison with everything. You got to make sure that you're doing everything right. And then, like I say, because you don't want to be. You're fated to have a particular outcome provided you do things the right way. So
you gotta not fap. Do anything with any gal for 7 weeks.
At least 7 weeks, man.
At least 7 weeks.
You know what I mean?
At least 7 weeks.
Then you got to recharge. You know, get the stores up again.
You gotta get let your ting go. Let your ting go. One good question before we move on, but thank you for that. It's always great to hear how things are going. Wish you best of luck in your fight. You know me, I'll always be tuning in. Obviously, you spoke about, you know, the fact that you're such a nice guy and whatnot, but then you've spoken to your training partner and you like to go into these dark modes. Have you ever gone heel? 2, would you go heel? And 3, have you ever had any serious animosity with a fighter? Because even speaking to you, I've never really heard any real bad blood.
Yeah. I just feel like it's just best to be authentic and be naturally who you are. So if
you can smell through it.
Yeah, 100%. If it's a show, but also don't be afraid to say how you feel. I think sometimes, you know, people hold back exactly what they think to try and seem politically correct and try and seem like, you know, just not to cause any issues. But I think sometimes you do have to ruffle a bit of feathers. If you think something and you really do genuinely feel it, then you must say it. Especially in this fight game where you've got a very short space of time to make some noise and then you're out of there and people are going to easily forget about you. So the way to create memorable moments, I think the reason why, you know, guys who are up there, like even like for example Pereira, like he's a very respectful guy, but you know he brings like this other side, you know, like Sharma, like, you know what I mean, Poatan, like that's exactly
nothing behind the eyes.
Exactly. So that is what he brings. He doesn't need to talk. But even when he does talk, he talks about, you know, Jamal Hill. He talks about you know, Prohaska and all these people. He says exactly what he feels about it. So that then creates the stir up, because again, that's going to cause controversy with people. Like people are going to think one thing, and
you see that with Hill coming to his gym, starting on him when he was being respectful. He chucks in the gloves and doesn't do anything.
I know. It's just but this is it. It's like it's going to create a high. You know,
Pereira's a man.
There's from all different sides. Whether I think, especially in the fight game or any the entertainment business, whether people hate you or love you, the fact that they're tuning in is a good thing. So
the fact they're talking about
you. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, one person could think one thing, another person may think another, but you know, I realize more as time goes on, especially in my career. Like, I might not have animosity to someone. There will be a time where I will have animosity to someone, and I'm not going to be afraid to say how I feel. No. You know, I'm not the best, and I'll be straight up about it when it comes to like sort of confrontation on what to say and stuff like this. I will definitely speak my mind, but you know, but okay, we're going to settle it in the cage anyway. So you know, we might as well stir it up a little bit for the crowd, for the fans and stuff like this, and then get out there and do our thing. Because ultimately, respect is earned through violence. You know, so you're going in there, you do your thing. Most of the time, it's squished right there and then. So realistically, everything leading up to that.
Control is earned by fear.
Yeah.
Look at COVID. look at what the leaders have been doing from the beginning of time. When you go through, obviously, the days when things. Well, to be fair, you'll probably find that still in like third world countries or not developed countries. But they used to control it. Look at Colonel Gaddafi. He used to control the people via fear.
Yeah.
No one's gonna step to you. Everybody's scared of you.
Yeah.
to go a little bit troll. Right, brilliant, cool. Right, so we're gonna go through some quick round questions now. So I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I know how much Jon Jones was a huge inspiration to you, as we spoke about in the first podcast. And now, you know, you're training with Tom Aspinall, and we got hopefully a big super weight fight on our hands. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think all of the things that Jon Jones was saying, you know, about not wanting to fight him, he doesn't deserve it, and this and that, I think it's just very hypocritical. You know, when he was the young guy having to be given the opportunity by the older guys and stuff like that to let him become a champion, he's saying, "Oh, how many world championships have you won?" Well, Tom's like, "Well, I need the opportunity to win a world title." He's saying about all the accolades that he's had. Again, it's all been done at light heavyweight. It hasn't been done at heavyweight. Who's the next? You know, he's looking for that someone in the career that is going to put a legacy. Wants to fight Alex Pereira, who's a striker that he knows as a striker.
Do you not think that's a ball? Let me say one thing,
Yeah.
Because I have a slightly different opinion. I know you know the fight game more than me, and I know Tom Aspinall knows now your boy. But I still feel like, and I know everybody loves Tom, but Pereira is still a bigger name, no? So I understand him wanting to, like, double champ. Yeah, true. But double champ, probably the only person that could become a triple weight champ, which is crazy, right? And then obviously his huge, extensive career in, what was he doing before kickboxing?
Yeah.
Where he was just ridiculous. Worldwide, would he not still be the bigger name? So I can understand Jon Jones saying for legacy, he preferred to take the Pereira fight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're probably right in saying that Pereira is probably a bigger name at this time. However, I still think it's down to the weight class. It is a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, you know, I mean, even Jon Jones was saying some stuff that, you know, like, you know, Aspinall's like 20 pounds heavier than me. I'm like, this is the heavyweight. This is a lot of things that are just, I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, just to rile everyone up and, you know, try and hype up that fight that probably will happen, you know. But ultimately, come on, you look at who deserves it. Yeah,
of course. There's no denying that. That's not my thing. I just don't like the comments when I'm hearing Jon Jones is scared. I'm like, Jon Jones, I don't think forget Jon Jones, I don't think a top MMA guy is scared of anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think you're scared of anyone.
Nah, 100%. As a fighter, you're definitely not scared, and
and he's the best.
Yeah,
he's the best of all time.
Yeah, the 100%, the greatest fighter of all time. That can never be questioned by anyone.
But how many
that is in the history
dumb
book.
Fans think that he's not? It's crazy because they just don't like him.
Yeah, well, like I say, I just feel like the comments that he's made about it just doesn't make sense, and then that's why it's pushing certain people away. But I get from what you're saying from a business standpoint, a bigger name, it's a chance for one guy to become a free weight world champion. It's his legacy. He's right at the end of his career. He's only got maybe 1 or 2 fights left in him, and how about we go and fight this guy? I have to admit, but you've looked at it from that sense, of course, but it is a riskier fight to fight a 31-year-old Tom Aspinall, who's heavier, faster, but yes, Jon Jones has got insane wrestling. He's got really good fight IQ. You know, he's and again, the greatest that there's ever been in the MMA game. He can literally blend everything together the best way possible. But, you know,
it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a great fight.
But either way, wherever it goes, like I say, both will be amazing fights.
Both will be amazing fights. So, who do you think will win? And what can Aspinall exploit in Jon Jones' game?
Jon Jones exploit? Sorry?
What can Aspinall exploit in Jon Jones' game?
So, I'm going to answer the question like this because I feel like it'll be very hard to. For me, I still am leaning towards Tom, in my opinion, right? obviously, he's my boy, but I'm leaning towards Tom, only because
when the heroes just when heroes die, man.
Because look, Jon Jones still to me like it's a very inspirational story. Like the things that he's done in his career, he's like.
And you've met him.
I've met him exactly. Like I've got to train alongside him. Like he's like I say like he's a legend in the sport.
Yeah.
He's beaten so many top level guys. But if you're looking at it from a stylistic matchup, the area where there could cause a problem 100% is the wrestling aspect, because Jon Jones has got very high level wrestling and he's a big fella as well.
Yeah.
If we look at speed on its own, Tom is so fast. Yeah. I think, like, thinking back to when I was training with before, Tom, I feel, is the fastest guy I've ever sparred with. And he's a heavyweight, which is mad. Because you think there's middleweights that I've sparred before, there's light heavyweights I've sparred before, but Tom is the fastest, without a doubt. Tom's boxing is so crisp, his feints are really good. So all of these things are going to lean in towards his side. If he can sort of close that distance, use his sort of head movement and his boxing, which is obviously he's got very good hands, Tom, that is something that could exploit Jones. But where Jones is very good, his kicks, he's got such long range. He's got very good technique with his kicks. Like I say, his wrestling is next level.
That's why it's going to be such a good fight. Just because, as you said, Aspinall, I get why so many people think you can beat him because of the speed and he's just rapid. And he's just so good. But Jon Jones is just that guy.
100%. 100%. Like I say, it's a very interesting stylistic matchup. But this is why, for me, I want to see that fight. You know?
Who do you reckon wins out of Pereira and Jones?
Pereira and Jones. Again, me personally, Jones would utilize his wrestling.
Yeah.
He can use his long range. He can use his long range kicks as well. Obviously, don't get me wrong, Pereira's probably going to work on his wrestling stuff for this, but Jones is on another level. And
Izzy's taking down.
Yeah, yeah, you exactly, yeah.
Do you remember when everyone wanted to see Izzy versus Jones? That fight is just so far.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's just never going to happen.
Absolutely no try. I remember, that was such a massive thing. Like, it was properly being hyped up. And
now his nemesis is going to do it, most likely. Pereira.
Yeah.
Crazy. But Izzy's still sick.
Yeah.
Ngannou. Ngannou Aspinall.
Ngannou Aspinall.
There's some big fights, man.
Oh, mate. These are look.
I don't know if Tom would be. Ngannou's just one of those guys. He's either going to lose or he's going to win. It's not going to be close.
Yeah.
He's going to win in devastating fashion.
One way.
Or he's just not going to do anything.
Again, speed. Speed is a massive factor.
Power.
I know he's got mad. he's got mad. But bro, Tom's got some power. I mean,
yeah.
If you see the punch that he caught Blades with,
Blades
it's like
with
a very clipping sort of punch, and he. Do you know what I mean?
He has taken some knockouts though.
Yeah.
But no. Nothing taken away, nothing from Tom's game. Yeah, man, he's quality. Hey, Tom, look, you're always invited to Step Up Unfiltered, like your boy.
100%.
But nah, man, he's a sick guy. I love what he's all about as well. Proper UK Northern lads.
Oh, mate, and he's
down to earth, lad. You see,
very nice guy, yeah, and especially they've got a really good relationship with their dad. I've got a good relationship with them. They're amazing people. They're very, welcome me with open arms. And let me train with them, and they help me to get better as well. It's a team family spirit over there, and I really like that because you need that in training camp to feel like you're part of the crew.
Fantastic. So quick questions again because we have sadly got 9 minutes left, and I want to chuck a few things at you.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Tommy Fury pulling out of the Darren Till fight due to words in a press conference?
That was, to me, that was stupid.
Why is he still doing the boxing thing, man? It's not for him.
I mean, if you're pulling out a fight because Darren Till, as a joke, was saying like, I'm gonna head kick you, and again, it's just creating banter. Do you know what I mean? And then he pulls out. Like, for that reason, I think, come on, if it's in boxing rules, of course he's gonna box you. He's not gonna kick you in the head.
The Fury family must just be so like. Ashamed.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
And even like his win against KSI was even like
a bit.
I don't know if he won. I would have given it. A lot of people give it to KSI.
Yeah,
he just wasn't cleaner boxing.
Yeah. Obviously, Tom. Look, we have to admit, like, Tommy is a good boxer. Like, he's got good skills, but it's just.
Do you think so? Like, for a professional, though.
I mean, yeah.
It's not like he beat Jake Paul in devastating fashion.
Yeah,
Jake Paul's not a professional boxer.
It might even just be a confidence thing, like genuinely.
I
I believe he looks like a very like sound, like
he seems like a nice,
do you know what I mean? He seems like a very sound, like technical, like stuff. Like he does the things that you'd expect.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? That boxers would do. He just hasn't quite had the you know, when he's throwing his shots and he's trying to land it against these guys. Maybe he's got a bit of like, you know.
Hey, look, he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
You don't want to get touched up, man. He's a pretty boy. At the end of the day, look, he's already done a Love Island thing, killed it with that. So I know he wants to do it, but it's just like you've got other options that not a lot of fighters do.
Yeah.
Being completely honest, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, there's a lot of fighting to him. I've got it for Darren Till though, because I always love seeing Darren.
I really
Till.
wanted to see that fight. Yeah.
Thoughts on the McGregor scandal? I don't know if you looked into it much.
Oh, it was something. It was a rape charge.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't know. I mean, it was from 2017 apparently.
Yeah.
So there's obviously two sides of the coin. One side is that, you know, like obviously he might have had a bit of a partying stage at that time, and you know he's like just coming up, like, you know, getting to the UFC, getting fame, and you know sometimes you make mistakes, but obviously not like to that extent. But also from the other side, they, like I said, two sides of the coin. From the other side, you know, oh well, he's got billions of money. Oh, like, you know, we slept together, but I'm gonna use this as a case, you know. So there's two sides of it.
The story is so shaky. It's so shaky. I don't know what happened in the hotel room, so I'm not even gonna cast judgment. But the fact that like she's got a kid and she's with a bloke and she's messaging the kid that she's alright. She was on a 3-day bender. She was messaging McGregor, provocative photos. There's CCTV footage of her all over McGregor as they go to this hotel. Then she's allegedly had the incident happen. Then after she's all over his friend, McGregor's left, and then the friend says that she was begging him to sleep with her so many times. He's gone back to the hotel. He slept with her as well. And then she's come out. She's asking people to delete messages after that she sent. There's so much evidence against her. Her friend, who she went with, who slept with McGregor's friend originally, said that nothing happened. She's lying. And it got thrown out of criminal court twice. It's just such a shaky case.
Yeah.
And like, I think the main thing that people are like, oh yeah, but like she had a tampon that was found up her. I'm like, I know stories of people that have slept with people that have had tampons and you know, probably had a couple of drinks. And, you know, things happen, but yeah, it just seems so unbelievably shaky. Even when your friend's calling you out as a liar, and the worst thing is, she tried to do the other guy for grape as well. Not originally, but she tried to when it came to the case where she could get money, basically.
Right.
And the jury found him not guilty, but McGregor guilty, which shows to me that that's just due to public image. Because surely you would think both of them did it, right?
Well, yeah, 100%. And bro, look, you just got to even just put, you know, like just, it happened like so long ago. Why is it only just, like I say, like coming up now? Like surely something like that would have come up like way.
Well, do you know, it's a shame because it's like, I understand if something like that actually happened to you. We can't put ourselves in that mindset. So
yeah, 100%.
I still think why don't you say it straight away? But you know, when you hear of girls that have had this done,
Then
you know how hard it is.
Yeah.
But it's just like if it didn't happen, it just takes so much away from actual victims.
Yeah.
That's what I hate about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And anybody that's had any sort of incident, maybe not that so far, but any sort of incident, they hook onto these stories and they feel all the emotions. But sometimes, occasionally, some of them maybe lost.
Yeah. Well, this is it. The only people that actually know what the real story is the people that are involved, and that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, bro. That's it. So, what are your next goals in the UFC and outside of it?
So the fight obviously is in my future and it's in my goals to become a world champion in the UFC.
Woo.
So you know that's the big time goal. And not even just to be a champion, I want to defend it many times. Like, you know what I mean? I want to prove to people that I'm the best, you know what I mean? Every up and comer, like, take them out. But like before that, I want to work my way back to the Khalil rematch. That is the fight that I really want.
How many wins do you reckon you're away? Maybe
I mean, I've got my next. I need to break into the top 15 for sure. So maybe that will happen. You know, one big win here, then maybe one more, and then it could all happen like very quickly. But that is a fight where I feel like it is just that is what defines my legacy right now. Is that particular fight. So I feel like I wanna come back, have that fight, and show what I'm really all about. Because that was a scared young boy fighting Khalil. Now we're a hungry, fierce man. You know what I mean? So it's a completely two different sides of the coin there, and I would approach that fight much differently, and I won't have any injuries. You know what I mean? Obviously, like touch wood, but I feel like that is a fight that is going to get people talking, get the buzz. I've always said in my career, you need to make an exclamation point right now. This is the time to do it. That would be the fight to do it. And the UFC would love that,
of course.
And it'll create big selling
underdog
points and
story,
stuff like this.
coming back, redemption,
and then the stain on my career about he's just the guy who got his leg broken. Well, now you're gonna watch it with the other side. Modestas beating Khalil. You know what I mean?
That's
my
amazing.
God, that was the guy that got his that destroyed his leg. Now look at it years later.
Look at me now.
Yeah,
look at me now. So we've got 30 seconds. One, is there anything that you want to plug? Is there any goals that you want to achieve outside of the UFC?
I want to be a successful business owner, and I've got a couple of ideas and ventures that I want to go into. I just want to create a life where my family are completely secure. I can sort out my parents' retirement. These are like massive goals, obviously, and but I just want to say thank you to everyone who's supported me and been following me for all the years. Massive love and appreciation to all of you. Without you, I couldn't do what I'm doing.
Fantastic. And just for the YouTube, is there anything you want to plug just for social media?
Just MODYB24 for Instagram, at Baltic Gladiator for Twitter, and Modestas Bukauskas on YouTube.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming on again, my boy. Loved it,
man,
bro.
Really loved it all the time.